citizenship. Right, okay, we'll move now on to item 25, and I've been informed that the local councillors would like to move the staff recommendation. So if we could have the staff recommendation, and I understand Jimmy Chen, you want to move that,
staff recommendation,
and Anne Galloway. I understand that you had an amendment just to ensure that we kept things on track during the interregnum, which is to retain governance of the project until the incoming council confirms community board delegations. And that just simply means that if any decisions need to be made or anything needs to come back to council in the period after the election, we don't have to wait for delegations to the community board in order to get things moving. So that just enables the incoming council to address the delegations.
Thank you.
So Jimmy, I'll hand over to you.
Okay, yes. The mayor and my fellow councillors, as the local councillor for Hornby, I have effectively advocated for many projects over the last several years, including the Hey Community Center, Hornby Temporary Service Center, and our TR Road upgrade. I secured the budget for the Hornby Library, Service Center, and the Southwest Leisure Center. And also, I have ensured Kyle Park became the preferred location for this new facility as well. However, I was very frustrated and disappointed at attempts by some committee board members to delay the new pool and the library for the Hornby area at a community board meeting on 27 of August. The site has been approved already from the local community board and also approved from the council in December last year, and also approved from the community board with the Kyle Park reclassification and the management plan change on 9th of July this year. 88% of submitters support the Kyle Park reclassification and the management plan change. Now we need to progress the project for the community as soon as possible rather than any more delays. I'm delighted that up to now there are more than 400 people signed the petition of the Christchurch City Council, Hornby Library Service Center, and the Southwest Leisure Center on Kyle Park. The feedback from the Hornby community as a whole has been swift. They are all disappointed, frustrated, and angry in terms of some community board members to delay this new facility. It has caused hurt in young people and the elderly, but it has also strengthened the resolve of the Hornby community to fight for just one decent facility in Hornby Ward. So that's why today we can see so many wider Hornby community leaders and representatives to partake of this the council meeting. I attended a Hornby community meeting on last Saturday. There were about 100 wider Hornby community leaders and residents turned out. I listened to their voices carefully and thoroughly. They are all enforced to express their reconfirmation that they want this facility on Kyle Park without any more delays. In a show of solidarity, residents for coming to today's the council meeting to ask the mayor and my fellow councillors to support the staff recommendation as outlined in the agenda for this complex. So I would like to emphasize that this demonstrated the Hornby community and the residents love Hornby, care for Hornby, and are looking forward to having this facility for a long time. I'm their local councillor. I'm working together with them for this facility. So I urge the mayor and my fellow councillors support the staff recommendation unanimously to progress this facility to the Hornby community and the wider Southwest area. Thank you.
Thank you. Anne Galloway.
I am the councillor for the Hallsville ward, and Hornby is part of that community board area. I've always been so supportive of this facility being built for the people of Hornby. This, as a city councillor, we have the vision that this city will be an opportunity for all, and this is about equity. The people of Hornby, the children of Hornby, deserve to have access to first-class, top-class facilities as the rest of the city does. And some of these messages that have come through, we deserve the pool and library. No long drives to a pool. We know that many in this community don't have the resource to get into a car and drive to a pool or a library. They need to be able to walk, bike, scooter to their local facilities, and this will ensure that accessibility. So I am totally in support of this. We want to get this for the people, the young people of Hornby, and I'm sure that my fellow councillors and the Mayor will be supporting this today.
Vicky. I think this is a complete no-brainer. The Community Board has already supported on the 9th of July the Kyle Park place. The Council has already supported Kyle Park. Effectively, the money is on the budget, and everything that was sought in the staff recommendations is actually already part of both Community Board and Council policy. And then, ironically, they voted against those staff recommendations and put none up instead. So there's no way that any of what the Community Board by majority has done makes any sense whatsoever. I recall when we first put this money on budget, talking to a young 6-year-old who, if I reflect now, will be 12 and will be about to go on to high school, who lived in Hornby and desperately wanted to be able to go and swim, and also to take his brother to the library at the same time. For those kids growing up in any area, we want great facilities in Christchurch. We want them in every suburb, and Hornby has a very large number of schools immediately opposite Kyle Park, but also a very high percentage of children living in the area. If we want, as Anne says, an equitable society, we actually need these facilities. And the saga of this one is long, but we've arrived at a place where everybody is in agreement, except apparently for a number of the community board members in this community board. And fortunately, because I was on the 6:35 flight from Wellington, when I arrived, there were about a dozen texts about what had happened when I finally arrived. I was so relieved to discover that actually this had to come to the council, and that's why I like recommendation 7. I think it's important that this makes progress from here on very fast because people are impatient and desperate to get this going. I just want to say to the people who are here from Hornby, I'm sorry you had to come again, and I can only apologise for some of the community board members, although I take no responsibility for them whatsoever. They've taken a lot of time and energy that's completely unneeded, but I am so glad that that this will go through today, and that the Kyle Park pool and library and community facilities will be back on track in the way that they should be, and that you will actually get this 12-year-old will be another few years older and most of the way through high school by the time it gets opened, but there will be a pool and library in Hornby. I just want to recall Robin Sutton coming along to the community board and talking about the importance to the development of kids of the library, because we tend to focus on the pool, and how important it was that they had access to so many books in their area for every kid. And I recall that incredibly clearly. I thought it was incredibly moving. So I'm totally fine with all these recommendations, and I'm just so pleased that this comes back to the council and wasn't delegated in any way. Tim.
Thank you, and I had the pleasure, and I do mean the pleasure, of sitting on both hearings panels, and there was a huge amount of reading, and I'm the slowest reader here probably, but you sit down and you go through it all, so you try and understand it. And so I sat on both of those hearings panels, and the pleasure was meeting this community. Its strength and its passion for its community, the people in it, and its want and its understanding its need. And that is absolutely crystal clear. The first hearing told us it was for Denton Park. Your passion for Denton Park, and although I'm not a Panthers fan, and good luck for next year, it just showed us your passion for that area and the common sense way you looked at it with regards to Kyle Park. Then we sat on the hearings panel for Kyle Park, and again it was just reinforced the passion that you have, the understanding, the common sense, and the want and the need. So thank you. Although, and I do mean this in the nicest possible way, I had hoped not to see you again. But in a nicest
The
possible
feeling's
way.
mutual.
Yeah. I got an email the other night from one of your community board members questioning the condition of the land. And I was surprised to get that, because we live in a city that chose to build a town hall on a riverbank next to a river in the middle of a swamp. That town hall has one of the greatest musical rooms, and it's rated in the top 10, and I believe about the 4th in the world. And we chose to restore this building on a riverbank next to a river in a swamp. So the land is just a question of engineering. The real question for a council is to listen to a community board, because it is crucial where we put these community hubs.
Community.
Oh, sorry.
On this case.
Sorry, yeah.
Usually the community board.
Oh, look, I was going so well. Yeah. I am really, really lucky that in my ward, we have what is called to the locals Pioneer Stadium. If you talk to council staff and council speak, and when we talk, it's a Pioneer Leisure Centre. And then when you talk to planners, it's a community hub. But when you talk to the people and you look at it, it is actually a hub of the community. You guys deserve this. It's been planned for a long time. Through you, I know exactly where it should be, and it is Kyle Park, and I'll certainly be supporting you today. So thank you very much.
Sarah.
Thank you. The purpose of local government, as we all know, is not only for the economic well-being of the city, but for the environmental well-being and for social and cultural well-being of our communities. We've heard today and for a decade that the well-being of this community and future generations is a key part of what this pool and library are all about. Sue Bagshaw said just a couple of weeks ago, the youth survey that she did post-quake showed that the top thing that youth wanted back was swimming pools. For adults, it was the libraries, and this facility combines the two. I, like Councillor Scandrett, have spent many hours reading submissions and hearing deputations as part of 2 hearings panels on this matter, and the way that the community have come together has been impressive. Councillor Chen has spent a considerable amount of time keeping this project on track, and I'd like to thank him for his work on it. The Hornby pool, as Councillors Buck and Galloway have said, completes the network of pools for the city, and with Linwood Pool also on its way, our residents will have a city worth living in. Strong communities make a stronger city.
David East.
Thank you. As an avid supporter of aquatic activities particularly, it has really concerned me that since our earthquake sequence, so many of our young kids have missed out on learning to swim. So I see this project as a little bit of deja vu for me when I look back on the process we went through to get QE2 up and running. There was huge amounts of consultation, looking at least 4 or 5 sites as to where it would go, and in the end a great facility evolved. I'm totally supportive of the project here for the Hornby area, for your pool, your Southwest Leisure Centre and the library. My only concern really does sort of centre around the quality of the land, and as Tim has pointed out, you can build anything anywhere, but my only concern really is that you have a scope of works there, and I would really not want to see any downsizing of the buildings to utilise funds for any extra work that may be done to remediate. I would much rather see council find extra money for remediation of any land that is and stick with the scope of works that's been approved and get on with the building, and the sooner you do it the better. And I would love to see the kids of your side of town get on a par with Kiwi 2 and have that scope to get the next generation well and truly into learning to swim. Thank you very much.
Pauline, Aaron and Andrew.
Thank you. Look, you all know my view on swimming pools, and I think what I want to say is congratulations to all of you for being engaged at this level. And what I want to say is stay engaged. Work alongside council with this project. It's really important that we get this right, and I really respect the comments that were made that you're willing to think outside the box to perhaps get some outside of council funding to add any extras that you want to get, and you think this is the opportunity to do it. So that's all I want to say. Congratulations, but stay engaged.
Aaron, John?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo the sentiments of my fellow councillors that have spoke this morning about listening to their communities. When the community speaks loudly and overwhelmingly in favour of a project, that we support that, and I hope that ethos lasts throughout the day.
Andrew.
Just very, very briefly, it's great to see such a huge amount of community support for this project here in the chamber today, and I don't doubt that for every person in the room today there are 10 or 20 other people that would be saying the same thing and would be here if they were able to. I'd just like to amplify the apology from Vicky Buck that you had to be here at all today. It was very disappointing to me that members of the community board acted in a way at that meeting which would have had the effect of totally derailing this project. That shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't have needed to come here so that we were encouraged to make the right decision. It was disappointing that community board members elected from Hallswell and from Riccarton were the ones that voted against this, but it's particularly pleasing to see the councillors from Hallswell and Riccarton speaking so strongly in support today. Of course, when a community board member is elected to a community board, once they're there, it's their responsibility to act in the best interests of the whole community board area. In the same way as when a councillor is elected to council, it's their responsibility to act in the best interests of the city and to take a metropolitan view. In the case of your community board, this didn't happen in this case. It's our responsibility to put this right today. We support this facility and we support it going on Kyle Park, and you'll see that in the vote very soon.
I just thought I'd say a couple of words myself on this one. It is very rare for me to speak against a recommendation that's come from a community board. I do believe essentially in local community boards having decision-making authority. They should have a real say in terms of what happens in their local community. But on this occasion, I support the resolution moved by Councillor Chen and seconded by Councillor Anne Galloway. And I agree with the Deputy Mayor in terms of the essence of how we sit around this table. We don't sit here representing our individual wards. We sit here representing the City of Christchurch, and the best interests of the city are served by not approving the community board recommendation on this case, but actually approving the staff recommendation. You know, the community board had two options in front of it. One was to approve Kyle Park as the preferred location. Secondly was to approve the scope. And thirdly was to get on with it. And the other option that they had was to do nothing. And so they voted to do nothing. Well, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to do nothing, and we are not going to do nothing as a council. We're going to get on with it and not allow the community to be forced into the position to have to come back, although I'm just so appreciative of the fact that you have. I went to the community meeting and I listened. And this is what I heard. I heard about the local schools. I heard about health and wellbeing. And gosh, aren't we a city that ought to be the basis of health and wellbeing? I mean, we are New Zealand's garden city still, and it just makes so much sense. I can't bear the thought of children not being able to swim. You know, we are a couple of islands. We have so many waterways. You know, not having children who are not brought up to learn to swim. I think we all had swimming pools in our schools back in the olden days. Admittedly, they were very cold. As I seem to recall. It was a rather challenging place to learn, but at least we learned how to swim. The cost of travelling elsewhere came up over and over again. Disability access came up. The need to bring community together, and it wasn't just for the activities that you do alone, it was actually bringing the community together, and it was all those other services, the library, as Vicky has mentioned, and such an important part of a network with our magnificent tūranga as our central city library as part of that total network. The carbon footprint of travelling, ACC costs, the limitation on green prescriptions, therapy post-operations, and of course the hydrotherapy. We've helped establish a community foundation, and I actually think that this is something that we should ask them to partner with other foundations about and see whether we can do that. QE2 had external assistance. There was a very large donation that came through the earthquake appeal trust, and I'm thinking that with a grouping of foundations coming together, this is something that the community's offering to work with us on, and it's something that we should work with them on. So I'm very happy on that note to put the resolution to the council. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
They say